Good evening, travelers of the emotional landscape and seekers of the unvarnished truth. You have found your way back to Mr. Magazine, the digital sanctuary where we refuse to let the headlines dictate the narrative. Here, we look into the eyes of the story, past the flashbulbs and the soundbites, to find the beating heart of the human experience. Before we unravel tonight's tapestry, a story woven with threads of betrayal, dignified silence, and the quiet agony of moving on, I must ask you to perform the sacred rituals of our order. Verify that you are subscribed. Ensure the notification bell is ringing, alerting you to every new revelation. And, for those who wish to stand as guardians of deep, independent journalism, please click the Join button. Your support is the shield that allows us to speak truth to power. Tonight, we turn our gaze to a figure who has long captivated us with her grace, Özge Yağız. For weeks, the tabloids have been a cauldron of speculation. Rumors, sharp as daggers, have suggested that her former partner, Gawkberg, has not only reconciled with his ex-wife but is quietly planning a secret wedding. Amidst this storm of hearsay, Özge has remained a fortress of silence. But yesterday, the gates opened. In a moment of raw honesty that has left fans both proud and heartbroken, she spoke. It was not a speech of anger, but a declaration of independence. If you are ready to witness the anatomy of a farewell, press the like button now. Let us begin. To understand the weight of Özge's words, we must first examine the burden she has been carrying. The relationship between Özge Yağız and Gawkberg was one defined by intense passion and, ultimately, a heated, fractured ending. But just as the dust seemed to be settling, a new whirlwind emerged from the rumor mill. Reports began to circulate, first in whispers, then in bold headlines. That Gawkberg had returned to a chapter of his life everyone assumed was closed, his ex-wife. The allegations are specific and stinging. Tabloids claim that Gawkberg and his former spouse have been seen in the same locations, their families are in close contact, and, most shockingly, that preparations for a secret wedding are underway. For Özge, who once stood by Gawkberg's side believing they were building a future, these rumors must have felt like a phantom limb. Pain coming from a part of her life that was cut off, yet still aches. The silence from Gawkberg's camp has only amplified the noise. Neither he nor his ex-wife has issued a denial. In the world of celebrity, where silence is often interpreted as consent, this lack of response has fueled the fire. Fans have watched with bated breath, wondering how Özge, the woman left in the wake of this alleged reunion, would respond. Would she lash out? Would she crumble? Or would she rise? The answer came at a promotional event for a brand, a setting usually reserved for superficial smiles and rehearsed marketing lines. But when Özge Yağız arrived, the atmosphere shifted. Witnesses describe a young woman who looked calm, yet carried a visible weight in her eyes, a slight expression of weariness that no amount of professional makeup could fully conceal. It was the look of someone who has fought a war in her own mind and is finally walking off the battlefield. When the inevitable question was fired, is Gawkberg reuniting with his ex-wife? Özge did not dodge. She paused, took a breath that seemed to draw strength from the very air around her, and delivered a statement that will be remembered for years. Gawkberg is in the past for me, she began. It was a simple sentence, but its implications were seismic. She continued, her voice steady but laced with an undeniable melancholy, I don't care who he marries. I'm following my own path. Sometimes it's too late to realize that some relationships need to be removed from your life. I've already crossed that threshold. This was not just a comment, it was a severance. By stating I don't care, she was attempting to build a wall between her heart and the chaos. But as many social media users noted, the sadness in her eyes betrayed the armor of her words. It was a heartbreaking message that said, I am done, while her spirit whispered, I am hurt. Let us analyze the psychology of Özge's declaration. I don't care who he marries. On the surface, it is a statement of indifference. But beneath the surface, it is a cry of self-preservation. Leaks from her inner circle reveal that getting to this point of indifference was a grueling journey. Friends report that Özge withdrew into herself following the breakup, reducing her social circle and refusing to speak openly for a long period. The news of Gawkberg's potential reconciliation with his ex-wife reportedly reopened doors Özge thought were locked tight. It forced her to confront the reality that the man she once thought was her destiny might now belong to someone else, someone from his past. But what hurt her most, according to sources, was not the reunion itself, but the silence. Gawkberg's failure to address the rumors, to offer even a shred of clarity, left Özge feeling that her emotions were collateral damage. Her poignant remark, "What bothered me wasn't who he was with, but that the value I placed on him was being wasted," strikes a universal chord. It is the ultimate tragedy of a failed romance, not the loss of the person, but the realization that the love, the time, and the emotional investment were squandered. "But now everyone gets what they deserve," she added. A line that walks the razor's edge between karma and acceptance. While Özge stands alone in the spotlight, answering for the sins of the past, Gawkberg Demisi remains in the shadows. But why? New intelligence suggests that his silence is not born of arrogance, but of immense familial pressure. Behind the scenes, a different drama is unfolding. It is alleged that Gawkberg is caught in a vice grip of expectation. His family, particularly his mother and close relatives, are reportedly urging him to reconcile with his ex-wife. "You have to try again so the family can recover," they are rumored to have said. This paints a picture of a man torn between his own desires and the demands of his lineage. Sources claim Gawkberg is weary of the emotional rollercoaster. He reportedly stated that he does not want to repeat the ups and downs of the past. His retreat from social media, his restrictions on posts, and his controlled demeanor are interpreted by some as a sign of respect for Özge, but by others as a strategic withdrawal to avoid the wrath of the public. He is a man under siege, by the tabloids, by his family, and perhaps by his own regrets. "I'm fine, really fine," Özge told the reporters, forcing a faint smile as fans offered her hugs and encouragement. The flow of life sometimes pushes people down a different path. "Perhaps a door to better things is opening for me." This is the sound of resilience. Behind the scenes, Özge Yağız is not merely waiting for the storm to pass, she is building a new shelter. Insider information confirms that she has thrown herself into her work with a ferocious intensity. Advertising deals, digital projects, and collaborations are filling her calendar. She is channeling her pain into productivity. "I will no longer make room for those who broke my heart, but for those who make me feel valued," she reportedly told her inner circle. This mantra is the foundation of her new life. She is rebuilding herself, brick by brick, determined to emerge from the shadow of Gawkberg Demisi not as a victim, but as a victor. Her career is now her primary partner. I must pause here to ask you, the compassionate community of Mr. Magazine, to reflect on this situation. We have all been Özge at some point in our lives. We have all felt the sting of wasted value. We have all had to stand tall and say "I don't care" when inside, we cared too much. Do you believe Özge truly doesn't care, or is she faking it until she makes it? And what of Gawkberg? Is he a villain for listening to his family, or is he a victim of circumstance? Pause the video. Scroll down. Share your heart in the comments. Your empathy makes this channel a community, not just a broadcast. And if you haven't yet, please verify your subscription and consider the join button. Help us continue to tell the stories that matter. What happens next? The speculation continues. If the rumors of Gawkberg's secret wedding are confirmed, Özge's statement will take on a prophetic weight. It will be the final period at the end of a long, run-on sentence. Those close to her believe she has made an irreversible decision. There is no going back. Every step she takes away from that event is a step toward a future where she defines her own worth. Gawkberg may find his happy ending with his ex-wife, or he may find himself trapped in a cycle of family obligation. But Özge Yağız has chosen freedom. She has charted her own course. She is determined to heal her broken heart, striving to emerge from the shadow of the past and embrace life more fiercely. This statement symbolizes both a farewell and a new beginning. As we conclude tonight's chronicle, let us carry with us the lesson of Özge Yağız. It is painful to realize that some relationships must be removed from our lives. It is agonizing to feel that our value was wasted. But the true victory lies in the realization that our value does not decrease based on someone else's inability to see it. Özge is reclaiming her value. And we will be here, watching her rise. If this story resonated with you, please subscribe to Mr. Magazine. Like the video to support dignified storytelling. And click join to become a part of our inner circle. Until the next story unfolds, protect your heart, know your worth, and never be afraid to close a door that leads nowhere. Good night.